Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, cheerleaders, welcome to an episode of Tatami Talk. My name is Juan. This is my co partner Anthony. It's a judo podcast for judo players by two judo players. So Anthony, how's your rib doing?
Yeah, it's really funny because I think when we recorded last episode, I didn't hurt my rib yet.
No, but, it was just me being hurt.
Yeah, I think it was just you, and then
it was just me.
We were talking
hour and a half out of getting out of the hospital.
Yeah, and this year it'll be related, really relevant to this episode's topic, right? Because we usually for the new year we talk about our goals and like resolutions or whatever, and clearly last year didn't go so well. We'll talk about that, but last year around the same time when I hurt my rib, I got concussion. Mm-hmm. So, and then this year I hurt my rib. So I'm trying to we're not off to a good start. I haven't been able to train judo for the last couple of weeks. So, but it's not that bad. Got an X-ray. Nothing's broken. So, I'll be back faster than I originally thought. Cause when I first hurt the rib, they told me nothing was broken, but I thought, oh, maybe it's cartilage, so 6 weeks or something. Mm-hmm. But it might be even less than that. But I might even make it to my Singapore trip because I might even be able to train the Singapore trip. So hopefully, before it'll cut it close. So, yep.
So for me, it's now 2 weeks after surgery now. Mm-hmm. It's been almost exactly 2 weeks after surgery. Well, 2 weeks and some days after surgery now. And when I first dislocated my shoulder, they said it would be 4 to 6 weeks of just to let it heal. Then I had the surgery, and then the doctor was like, no, Juan, you have to be 6 weeks in your sling. I want it to heal nice and stuff. Okay, don't strain it. Don't do anything crazy with it. So I'm chomping a bit to get this thing fixed. Oh, and thank you for our fans out there to leave me messages and send me stuff about maybe I should do more Newaza tournaments. I don't have to stop competing. I can do this. I can do that. And thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Juan's wife hates you. So
it's just during that, after the surgery, like it was like, I kind of went through like a little mini depression of like, what can I do now? Like, I feel like I'm a horse with a broken leg now. They're going to put me down. What am I good for if I can't compete? You know?
I've been watching this TV show called Clarkson's Farm. It's like based off the Top Gear. That's one of the British Top Gear people. He bought a farm and he made a show of him farming. And then one of the cows, one of the cows that he got couldn't get pregnant, and he's like, what should we put her down? And then after a while of contemplating, he's like, fuck it, we got a pet cow.
We got a pet cow.
So it's like, all right, we got a pet one.
Pet Juan now. Yeah, Juan can't compete no more, so we got a pet Juan now. So, but thank everyone for their well wishes. I appreciate it. Thank everyone wishing me a speedy and healthy recovery. We'll see by the end of the month how I feel when I get the mobility and I start doing rehab, and how far I can push myself, because I got some people telling me that I'll never be the same. I got people telling me it's up to me and how much I want to work for it. And I pretty much worked through all my injuries, that even my torn MCLs and ACLs, it's like I'm in Seiza. I still do one-legged throws. I wear braces and stuff, which I probably have to do for this shoulder now.
We tell people the same stuff in the past episodes about injuries and training when you're old and stuff, but it's like a psychological thing too, right? Mm-hmm. So just something we'd have to get over. Yeah.
So do you want to show the audience a shirt I got you for Christmas?
Oh yeah, we're supposed to open it for the last episode, but I forgot to do it. So yeah.
So show it off. It says, warning. I spontaneously talk about judo.
I may spontaneously talk about judo. Yeah. When I had it was because I hurt my rib and was pretty bad at the time that I couldn't open the box. So I had my wife open it, and she laughed so hard.
Because it's true. Anthony spontaneously talking about judo all the time out of nowhere.
Yeah. During dinner, my wife would sometimes nudge me with her knee underneath the table, telling me to basically shut up. Like, no one cares about judo. Stop.
when you meet new people. So, do you do judo? What do you think about judo? Do you like judo? Have you ever heard of judo? You're gonna feel like one of those. I can't remember what those religious people are, but can I tell you this the word of judo, please?
when I was in urgent care, waiting for my X-rays, this nurse that worked by was like, judo or jiu-jitsu, and I'm like, oh, it was judo. And he was like, oh, okay, I did judo for 25 years. And I'm like, oh yeah, cool, where'd you train? And he was like, up in Canada. I haven't done it in a while. And then I didn't want to ask why, because I'm like in the urgent care, in pain, and but yeah, it was kind of clear, but it's cool. I wish I had that shirt while I was there.
Well, when I was in the ER for when I dislocated and they first put it back in this place, when I came back to and the nurse was taking the stuff off me, he said something to me and I was like, I think he asked me like, do I still think I could throw somebody or something? I was like, here, let me show you. Come here. And I tried grabbing him and I was like, come here, let me show you what I could do still. And then doctor came over and the doctor's name was funny. The doctor's name was Dr. Butcher. He's like, don't worry, I'm not going to cut you open. I'm like, I hope not. He came up to me like, hey, can I take you now? I was like, I still got one good arm, sir. And he's like, oh yeah, better watch out.
Yeah. Oh, I also went in the urgent care with my judo rash guard and gi. So, not gi pants. So that's how he knew.
Yeah.
Which one to ask. But anyway,
so that's been us the past 2 weeks. Anthony got the hurt rib, got a little cartilage tear. Got the dislocated shoulder, had surgery and stuff, which I'm going to get the stitches taken out on Monday. I'm going to post on Instagram a before and after with the stitches on, after stitches, just for fun. Why not? So by the time this episode come out, my photo of my stitches will be on my Instagram by then.
Yep.
Surgeries, new things. Yeah.
It is kind of amazing how small the incisions are getting now over time. It's just pretty fast. Pretty amazing how fast the medical advances have been getting. So, oh yeah,
like I got arthroscopic in the front and back, and then they just opened up my top half with a couple inches. I think it's like maybe 3 inches or something. The top one was to do the sutures to reattach the what is it? What thing was it? The
bicep?
No. My bicep, they said, wasn't that bad. It was the rotator cuff. That's what they had to reattach. So I'm not sure if I got plastic screws or metal screws in me. I need to get a metal detector to see what they put in me. I don't know how they attached it. I don't know. He didn't tell me. I have to go through a metal detector now, see if I beep or not. So with that and our injuries, let's go to some interesting news. Now, there hasn't been much judo news in the past 2 weeks, nothing big at least that we decided to talk about, but there was something interesting that came out in the IBJJF, that there are some rule changes that Anthony was telling me about. And I was like, we got to talk about this during the show. We got to talk about this. This is a funny thing.
I didn't want to talk about it, but you wanted to. So
I thought it was interesting. So Anthony, can you please explain these new rules by the IBJJF to stop stalling, or was
okay,
it?
So this is why I didn't want to talk about it, because I didn't care.
So, I care. I think it's interesting.
I didn't care, so I didn't really know. I didn't know what the rules were before. I don't know how the penalties really work. I don't know how the advantages really work. But anyway, the rules. The gist of it is, one of the rules to prevent stalling is that if you grab onto the belt during stand up and you stall, like just by basically playing defensive, keeping their hips away the whole time, then you'll get a stalling penalty. You just get a penalty. Like that's basically it. So okay, so I think the way I think the way
send me the video I saw.
Yeah, but I think the way it works from the video is that you get 3 penalties in IBJJF rules. That's really important. We have to clarify. IBJJF is not exactly like IJF. So you get 3 penalties, and then I think after the 3rd one, you're going to start losing 2 points. So when you get a 4th penalty, you lose 2 points.
No, and then is it you lose 2 points, or do you just give the other person 2 points?
Yeah, basically you give 2 points to the other person. Yeah. And I think I remember someone telling me this is the problem with BJJ rules, right? Because there are so many different rule sets. I remember someone telling me, like, after the first 2 points, and if you get like more, then you get disqualified or something like that. I don't remember, but that's not the important part. The important part is that they added these really judo-esque rules to stop stalling, basically. And so, they're coming to grips with the same problems that judo has encountered when it comes to stalling and safety issues and everything.
Yeah. From the video you sent me about these new rules and stuff, the interesting things that came up to me is that, so the one was stalling while standing or in the, what we would call Newaza position. We're just grabbing the belt and tying them up so that they can't fight. They're not doing nothing. You're not doing nothing. You're stalling. And it's something about the ref got 20 seconds. If you don't do nothing within those 20 seconds, they're going to say, well, we would say mate. They say something else, stop, and they stand you back up, which I believe is different. They're going to start standing people up.
Yeah. So if I remember correctly, it has to do with guard. This is why I didn't want to talk about, because I didn't care enough to write it down or remember it. But something to do with if you both pull guard at the same time and nothing happens within 20 seconds, like no one ends up on top within 20 seconds, they're going to stand you up again.
Well, it was also that if you guys both pull guard at the same time and someone gets on top from there, you're not going to get points, but you get the position. If no one does anything,
you get points. You get
was
points.
You get 2 points. I thought it was that if one person pulls guard and the other person gets on top, then they get points. See, we're not BJJ guys. We don't know this, but this is very interesting.
This is why we shouldn't talk about it.
I think it's very interesting.
No.
It's interesting to me because it looks like they're trying to speed up BJJ or make IBJJF more how like judo is action based.
Let's not focus on the specifics because again we don't remember. It's just they're focusing on getting more action and also trying to address the criticisms of double guard pulling, which we saw a lot, which is funny, and also just guard pulling in general. So
now, do you think they're making these changes to make their sport look more action based, like how judo did it?
Yeah, definitely.
And do you think they're doing this maybe to warm up to the IOC? Be like, hey, look, we're making these changes to make BJJ more action based, like what you wanted from wrestling, what you wanted from judo. So look what we're doing. We're not gonna just pull guard and what they call lay and pray. You know. Again,
I'm not. I don't think I'm qualified to answer that question, but what I think is, I don't think the IBJJF is trying to make it to the Olympics. I do think they're trying to become a national government, like the IJF, basically. They're trying to be IJF, but they're not trying to be the Olympics, if that makes sense. They're trying to be the main governing body so that everyone has to follow the rule sets. Everyone would have to pay the money for the ranks and stuff. Everyone would have to pay their membership to do their tournaments, kind of thing. So I think that's what they're trying to do. But I don't think they are trying to go to the Olympics. And just like any sort of thing, I think it has to do with keeping the sport more spectator friendly, which is a different debate. And removing stalling is definitely one of them. And you also have to think about in terms of tournament efficiency, like when matches last too long, that's money that they're losing. You're paying especially since they pay the referees, right? So you're paying the refs. You're paying the refs longer hours. You're having less matches. It's reducing the quality of your product, like the tournament experience, when you have to wait a long time. So I think it's all those little reasons combined, and also getting sponsorships. So
now the tournament that you competed in last year, what was that one?
That was Jiu-Jitsu World League, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, I got a concussion. I can't remember.
I can't remember. Yeah, you got a concussion at tournament. It might have been IBJJF.
Yeah, that was Jiu-Jitsu World League. I did some research, and a lot of these organizations aren't as professional as you think they are. Still better than a lot of judo organizations and tournaments, I guess. But yeah, there's a ton of rule sets out there. That's the thing. That's what, like, right now, where BJJ is at right now currently is what I believe judo should be doing. Right? You have let me back up a little bit, right? So in the past, IBJJF, people would be like, it's not, people think they're IJF. That's how they try to name their name on purpose to sound like, oh, it's like IJF, but the BJJ version of it. Yeah. But it's just basically owned by the same parent company as Gracie Baja. And I'm not going to get into it because I don't want to get sued. But, people who know the reputation of Gracie Baja, it's not exactly the best when it comes to certain business practices. So they're owned by the same people. They're for profit. And in the past, you could argue that they're just only one rule set amongst a sea of rule sets in BJJ where you don't have to follow it. Like, just like how they say, like, oh, white belts can only do straight ankle locks or something like that. Not every BJJ club follows that rule. Yeah. And they also say, like, oh, you only black belts can do heel hooks or something. Like, again, not every BJJ club follows that rule, because there are rule sets out there that allow it and all that other kind of stuff. But people train however they want in their local club scene. And then every tournament, you just have to, before you sign up, you have to read the rules. That's why I read the rules, because I want to know what I could or couldn't do, because there's so many rule sets and organizations out there. And back to what I originally said, right now, how IBJJF has grown so much over the years, is what judo should be doing right now, which is like, you have the main IJF rule set, and then you have the other little small organizations that do leg grabs, blah, 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 and all this kind of stuff, right? Which you could argue some organizations are doing it, like USJA has the Kosen, and not really. I hate using that term Kosen because it's not Kosen, but USJA has their Kosen tournament, and then there's a submission grappling USA Judo's doing. Again, really weird naming, but they have these rule sets. But if you know why they aren't popular, it's mostly because, I mean, there's only really two reasons, right? One, it wasn't advertised or run correctly. Or two, there's just simply no market demand for it. Like, people just don't want to do it. Yeah. And if you split hairs even further, why wouldn't they want to do it? It's one, the rule set either is not popular, like it sucks in general, or two, people would rather do the IJF rule set instead of this one. Does that make sense? Well, like, if they had to pick, like, okay, I'm going to do the IJF one instead of this one, instead of doing both, or this one over the IJF rule sets.
It's just about getting confused about rule sets. Like, I think that is a very good point about the changing rules of, like, oh, we need to change this, we need to make this, we need to do that. Like, how about just teach you guys how to fight the proper way? I understand people want to do Kosen. I get the coolness of it. Okay. I get it. Okay. I get the thing of, like, oh, we want to do Kano rule tournaments. Okay. Like, I get the novelty and the coolness of it, but the whole thing of, like, trying to reinvent the wheel is, to me, it's just stupid. I know other people like doing it. It's very interesting. Like I said, it's a cool novelty, but why am I going to learn how to do Greco wrestling when I'm going to go to a freestyle tournament? When I'm at my exercise, exactly. Why am I going to learn Muay Thai if I'm going to be doing kickboxing?
I don't want to get it into that again, like grab discussion or like the rule set discussion again. But at the risk of going further in tangent, basically it boils down to there is no demand for it. Like, whatever the reason is, there's no demand for it in the judo market, and it's basically what I've been saying all the time too. Like, people make such a big deal out of leg grabs, yet no one doing judo right now really puts a word, what do you call it? Puts it into action, like actually sign up and travel for these tournaments. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Here's even worse thing that I know I'm gonna get some heat for this. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry for our fans out there. I might get some heat for this. Is people that can't do proper judo need that little excuse of, like, well, if I could double leg. Yeah. Oh, well, if I could do kata properly.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Like, the people who complain are people like that, or people who say they're not going to do judo because they don't allow leg grabs. Does that make sense? Like, nobody walks into judo, signs up. Most people that walks up to sign up judo doesn't know anything about leg grabs or care about it. They just want to learn judo. Right. Yeah. So the people that make these kind of comments weren't going to really do judo anyway, or they weren't going to stay in the sports anyway. Is what I think. It's very small, very, very small minority of them where it's like, oh, if you brought leg grabs back, we would have attracted all these people. Like, I really don't think that's the case, but that's not. Well, we're talking about IBJJF.
Yeah, I was correct. Yeah. So
So
this is stuff that we go through in judo. So I can imagine how the BJJ world is when they have all these different rule sets, and then IBJJF comes out with this. I know how when we get rule changes, it's always there's people out there. I'm done with judo. Judo's dying. I'm done with this. So I wonder if there's that talk right now. Check the subreddit. Check the BJJ subreddit right now. They're probably putting people. I'm done with IBJJ.
Yeah. So in the past, like even 5 years ago, when I started BJJ and judo and all that kind of stuff, I think people would have said like, well, it's just IBJJF doesn't represent BJJ, right? It's just one rule set, one organization. You don't like it, go do Jiu-Jitsu World or Naga or whatever, ADCC rule sets or whatever. And I think that is really true back then. But now IBJJF has grown so much that I see everyone, even white belts, white belts too, but like blue belt world champ, people advertising that they're blue belt world champion, purple belt world champion, like all this kind of stuff. And it's always IBJJF. Like they're really considered, I guess, the most prestigious title you can win in the gi, I think, especially. And no gi is basically between IBJJF rule sets and ADCC. So because of how large they've grown and how important they are now, I think that argument of, well, it's only one rule set no longer applies as much. They're more like judo now, where it's like IJF rules basically dictate how a lot of people will train. So I think they're moving towards that direction. So that argument it's becoming less and less common. Because another sign is, I hear so many people complain about IBJJF, how much they hate it, how they're money grabbing, money grubbers, and some of the rules, like how if you were a black belt, but then you didn't register your black belt through IBJJF, then you have to like pay for the belts starting from white belt and then wait and go all the way up, kind of thing.
Are you serious?
Yeah. There's stuff like that.
Holy.
So there's a lot of little stories like that, and people always talk about how much they hate it, but then they still compete in it. Because either it's, again, the most prestigious, or their coaches in their competition team force them to, because it's like, again, the most prestigious. Yeah. So when you have someone say how much they hate something and then they still go and compete and give them money in it, that's when you know how powerful it is, right?
It's like how much say they have.
Yeah, because for example, for me, if I'm like, oh, let's just say I hate
USA Judo.
I'm trying to give a let's say I hate USA Judo. I can boycott all USA Judo tournaments and only go to Nanka tournaments. Or I can only go to
USJ and USJF or AAU.
Yeah. Or I can say I hate AAU. I hate freestyle judo. So I boycott all freestyle judo, which is pretty easy because there's none around here.
It's like, where's freestyle? I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. Don't get more heat.
But when you say, okay, I hate USA Judo events, but I want to get nationally ranked, or I want to get that USA Judo rank or whatever, so I have to compete in USA Judo tournaments, then that's when it says something about the standings of the organization and the rule set. So I think IBJJF's standing and prestigiousness is getting to that point right now. And it's just funny watching the BJJ slowly take this evolution towards banning unsafe techniques like Kani Basami in a lot of rule sets, not all rule sets, but in a lot of rule sets, and also adding these stalling rules.
All right. So that's our little talk about IBJJF and rule changes stuff that went to judo a little bit, but let's get to a little more happier note. So last time we talked about, or 2 episodes ago, we talked about how we were going to name our players of the year. First time we did a male player, we did a female player, and our player of the year. Now we're screwing all that stuff now. Now it's just straight up just our favorite player of the year, the person that we're most impressed with, who we like the most.
So we're not doing per weight class, right? We're just
just your player of the year. So Anthony, who is your 2023 player of the year?
Just the player of the year. I want to say Krista Taguchi. I honestly do, because she got her world title back, but it's not, I don't want to say it's saying it's an excuse, because I am like biased towards her, but she did not perform to the standard of where I would think she should get the title for me, at least. But she was injured. That's the fair in a lot of them. So and then she got screwed. She also got screwed over by the ref a lot. So, but again, that's not an excuse. So I will have to say Natsumi Tsunoda. That's my general player of the year, Natsumi Tsunoda. She's
you just see her name. That's it. Just that. She's a player of the year.
Yeah, I mean, you can't argue with the results, and 40 and her Nawaza game and how she uses her threatening long legs in the Tomoe to enter in it. So she either scores a Wazari twice or Ippon with her long legs to Tomoe, or she gets you to the ground and then you just get like pinned or arm locked. So, did you see the last tournament where she won every single fight the same way?
Yeah, they did like a highlight video. I thght it was the same match over and over again.
Yeah, I mean that's just how dominating she is. So I'm like, well, I'll skip it. I don't want to compare her to someone else. So yeah,
okay.
That had to grab someone else that had to grab hairs.
Oh God. Okay. So most people know I like Agnabu. I think she's a great player and stuff. She's my player of the year. Yeah, she was my player of the year last year and stuff. And with the stuff that she had to go through this year, she was still, with what she went through this year, I still wanted to make her my player of the year.
You know what's funny? I totally didn't think about her because
you did it.
She's so dominating that it's normalized now.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, it's like
I'm just it's her. She won everything again. Okay. Now, who is it that won everything again?
So last year she was my player of the year. I still love watching her play and stuff, especially with all that she went through, like we talked about earlier last year and stuff. And she still came through with still winning championships. And I was like, I don't want to pick her. I got to pick someone different this year. And I was like, I don't want to pick one of the Abes because they both did really well. Mifune had that really cool throw that everybody wants to do now, that Koshiguruma. And I was just like, man, I don't want to pick one of them now, but they're kind of a favorite too. Everyone likes them as well. Like everyone's going to pick them. They're, of course, are going to win. So you know what? I went for Krista Taguchi because I was really impressed with her this past year. I think I told you, we talked about this before. So I think that's why you changed yours.
I didn't change it. I don't know why you picked her because she wasn't performing as well as the year that I picked her.
Well, this is thing. No, to me, to me, so she won the world championships this year. Okay. And to me, I'm just one of these old school guys. Results matter, you know? So
does it matter how the ref dicks you over?
It does too. But you all know, like adversity, she came back, dude. She won the world championships. She won for us in America. She won the Pan Ams, which give or take, depending on how you want to say how hard the tournament is. But hey, that's one of the biggest tournaments for us in North and South America. She won the Pan Ams. She went to Tokyo, won Tokyo, one of the other hardest tournaments of the year. She took gold in 2 of the Grand Slams. She took silver in 3 Grand Slams this year, which should have taken a third gold in our opinion. But that's 5 Grand Slams. 5 Grand Slams she went to this year where she was in the finals. As well as winning Tokyo and win the world championships again. So I'm just like, she impressed me. She impressed me a lot. The year
that I named her as my player of the year, she was destroying. She won a world championship too, and then her rival Jessica Klimkate, she just like basically destroyed her. She only time she lost to Klimkate, I think, was when the ref screwed her over with the Shido calls, which I talk about all the time. I'm not going to make you guys listen to it, but Jessica Klimkate just gets away with so many false attack calls and illegal grip breaks and grips and stuff. But this year she didn't dominate Klimkate as much, and they didn't have as many head to heads. Like for example, you talked about Pan Ams. I don't think Klimkate showed up to that. Yeah. And then sometimes Klimkate gets eliminated before the finals, or Krista gets eliminated before the finals, so they don't meet. And the one time that I saw, again, it's hard because I didn't have Judo TV this last year. So I'm only going by what I read and the results I checked online after. But the one time that I saw them beat each other was when Jessica beat Krista, she had a hurt rib. Krista had a hurt rib. So that's an injury. But I mean, again, that's not an excuse, but that's one way she lost. And then when Klimkate lost to Krista, it was one of the rare times where she lost by Shidos. So Krista didn't really beat her like she normally did. Like usually she would either throw her or do the chokes and strangulations and arm breaks on the ground. So she didn't do any of that this year. So to me, that's why she didn't make the player of the year for me, because she was winning, but she's not dominating as much, and she's not beating her rival as consistently. So
to me, I like Krista's story. You know, she's originally part of the Japanese team. Then she lost her spot. They're like, sorry, you're not making the cut for the team this year. Goes to Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got stolen, you mean? Yeah.
Hey, still losing a spot, man. Man, you were such a Debbie Downer. You know that?
I'm just really salty for her.
I love her story. Yeah. You know, she goes to Japan. She's part of the national team there, does very well, lose her spot, get her spot stolen. What are you going to say? Goes to Canada, joins their team, and she's doing well. She's been a 2-time world champion for Canada. It's 2-time world champion now for Canada. Now, she's doing so well in the Canada team, where she could be a 2-time world champion for Japan instead. Do you think Japan maybe regrets losing her? Or they're just like, you know what? Whatever. Fine. Go ahead. Go to Canada. We don't care.
But Japan doesn't care.
You don't think Japan cares? Japan's like, whatever. Care. Go ahead. Go ahead.
They'll never admit that they're wrong about something. Neither with the French, I think. But yeah.
Look at my girl, you know. But so she's my player of the year this year. Next year will be the Olympics. That's gonna be another big year to see who. There's no world championships next year, so it'll be just the Grand Prix, the Grand Slams, Masters, and then the Olympics. So see what holds next year.
Yeah, I'm gonna be really upset for Krista if she doesn't get selected. Well,
this is the one thing. She won the world championships so to me, it's very hard. I know Japan did it, but it's very hard that the current world champion won't go to the Olympics. So that's why, to me, I think she's going.
That's what they did the other time. So, I just think they're gonna come up with some dumb Well, they used COVID as a excuse last time, right? But I feel like they're gonna come up with some arbitrary reasons, standard last minute again. So we'll see. Yeah.
All right. So those are our picks for this.
Wait, are we gonna separate it to
what,
men and women?
No, because I didn't pick a men this year. I thought we were just on one.
Damn, then I should.
Who did you pick for your man then?
Lee Juan.
Okay, I gotta pick that. All right, I can't remember his name, but I gotta pick that. Okay, well, why do you pick Lee Juan? Because he's a good
judo is
from Taiwan. He's a Taiwan boy. Why?
Lee Juan's not Taiwan. He's Korean.
Is he Korean? What's the Taiwanese kid then?
Something Young Wei.
Yang
Young Wei.
That one. Yes.
Yeah. What happened to him anyway? Did he get in? I think we didn't hear about him that much this year. So
China got rid of him. That's why China was like, Taiwan's doing good. Take him out.
I don't know. Maybe he got injured, but I haven't heard much about him this year. I did see him in a couple of tournaments. But no, I picked Lee Juan because Philippe, and Tim at the dojo all separately talked about him in the same way. His judo is so refreshing to see that it's like, based off of the current rule sets, it's the most ideal judo that we would see, I think. I guess that's also not exactly the right way to put it, because you could argue like being Maruyama or Abe, just dominating everyone and throwing them, is like an ideal judo. But Lee Juan is able to attack off of both sides, and he attacks nonstop. And it's like always attacking. There's no stalling. There's no playing Shidos or anything. So, I mean, indirectly, because of how often he attacks, the Shido thing happens, right? But his judo is just really fun to watch, and it's refreshing. And it's like, I just like his judo a lot, especially since he can attack off both sides. But he's my male player of the year. I was originally gonna pick Tanaka Ryuga, but he was the young guy that dominated earlier in the year, but then I think he got hurt, so I didn't hear about him for the rest of the year. So I don't know. I'm still looking forward to him coming back, because I think he's gonna become really dominating if he keeps competing. Still young. What about you?
I'm trying to find his name, but I can't find it. I can't remember because I can't never say his name correctly. Okay, so again, I should pick Abe. Did amazing. Guy's great. The guy had the golden hair, got the golden medals and stuff. Guy's killing it out there. All right. But because I love his fight style, but I can't remember his damn name right now. I talked about it before. You might remember his name. The Mongolian that fights like a mad dog.
Yonan Perle.
Yeah, that guy. I love watching him fight. Win, lose, or draw.
His age is getting up there too.
But he's still fighting like a dog out there, man. Give me a nice dirty fight. You want to win? You want to win? You got to get this. All right. You ain't no clean win with me. All right. You're going to fight for this win. All right. You ain't get no clean throw. I'm going to grab you. I'm going to mad dog you, throw you around. I might not get to eat, but I'm going to make you real tired. I love watching his fights, especially when he gets close to medaling too a lot. Like I think he got a silver or bronze. He got a couple of bronzes, I think. I remember the time I should have done research, but yeah, watching that guy fight, that guy's fun to watch. And I love watching him fight against guys with really clean, beautiful judo because they don't know what to do with him. They're like, you're not fighting properly for me. I can't throw you cleanly. Fight good judo.
I did like watching him fight Mariyama a lot.
Oh yeah. He frustrated the shit out of Mariyama. Yeah. I think Mariyama had to cry after that fight. I beat him, but it wasn't clean. So that's my guy this year.
All right. I think that's it. That's our guys this year. We both didn't have Judo TV this year. So that's again.
What? Do you want to, can I interest you in some NFTs, sir?
I don't know if they're still doing that, but I didn't have interest to renew it just because of how bad the reffing was. So, yeah, once they fix the refereeing, I'll renew it, but not for now.
Which they never will.
Yep.
Okay. So let's go on to the main topic of the episode today. So it's the new year, new episode, new season, new things. So most people make New Year's resolutions, and a lot of people New Year's resolutions are always the same. I'm going to get in better shape. I'm going to work out more. I'm going to look good. I'm going to feel good. I'm going to learn self-defense. I might want to learn how to defend myself. Basic things. We don't talk about other stuff like I'm going to stop drinking or smoking. All that. That doesn't bother me right now. I want to get you fit. All right. I want you to get in judo. So a lot of people join judo as a resolutions. Now, me and Anthony we don't really believe in resolutions. Me, I'm not a resolution guy. I'm more of a goal setting guy. I set my goals each year to what I want to do, what I want to look forward to, how I want to train for the year. Anthony's also pretty much a goal setting guy as well, but he came across an article that's very interesting about like not necessarily setting goals, definitely not just doing New Year's resolutions, but setting goals a different way. So what was it, Anthony?
It's about, so I wouldn't say, it was an article, but it was a video, a YouTube video. I've been on a binge watch of this guy's videos. I didn't know how popular he was, and he's been making videos for like over 10 years actually on YouTube. But this guy's name is CGP Gray, but he has a lot of interesting videos. They're really high effort. We'll talk about it more later, but he has this video about themes. Like instead of having resolutions, we should have like a theme. And it made a lot of sense to me because he made this video years ago about the themes, and he's like, hey, so how's your resolution coming along? You probably like failed it already, right? Because he's basically saying,
thanks, bro.
Yeah, he's basically saying instead of I'll link the video. It's not too long, but basically saying instead of having these hard goals and you're setting yourself up to failure early on, or making the goal so easy, like, oh, I'm not going to drink for a week kind of thing, right? Versus I'm not going to drink at all for the whole year. Then instead of making those hard, defined goals, just have like a theme. Like for him, I think his theme last year, one of this guy's themes last year was like the year of like family or something. So it's just spend more time with family, right? That's a pretty generic, easily achievable direction to follow, right? So instead of working as much, every time he comes across the crossroad where it's like, well, do I want to like pull an all-nighter or do I spend time with family? He would pick spending time with his family versus making hard goals. Like I'm going to do 6 trips with my family this year. Then what happens if you get to 5, right? Then if you only get to 5 and you really couldn't make 6 happen, then you just failed your New Year's resolution. And
they need to take a weekend trip real quick. Like, honey, we're going out for the weekend. All right. Day trip.
It really, what do you call it? It really reverberated with me because last year I was like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this tournament. I'm going to do a BJJ tournament. I'm going to do this tournament. And I didn't do them. And I kind of just rushed it last minute. And then I got hurt. And then again, this year I started off getting injured because I was like, oh, I want to do internationals. And then I got hurt. And I'm probably going to be traveling. And then by the time I'm done recovering, I'm probably going to have like 2 months to prepare for Winter Nationals. Not Winter Nationals. USA
Nationals. That's more than enough time.
Yeah. So if I was, I think I could say, oh, I want to do that competition, but I think it's better for me to say like, oh, year of the competition, just compete as much as I can kind of thing, than versus like, I'm going to do these tournaments. And also you don't have to have just one theme. Like, for example, this other guy was like year of rest. He wanted to just like, he just feels burnt out from work. So he started taking weekends off like a normal person. Because when he first mentioned it, he was like, yeah, I was working 5 days. My plan is to work 5 days and to rest 2 days. I'm like, wait, isn't that just like a normal week? And then you realize he's been working the weekends his whole like 5-6 years. And then so for him, his theme was like year of the rest, where he just wanted to rest more and he like felt less burnt out. He was more productive. So I think the theme system is a lot easier to go with, basically, versus like having these hard goals. Like this year, I'm going to do this, and like write down a list of stuff, and then you feel forced to actually make those things happen, basically. Versus having a theme, as long as you by the end of the year, as long as you have moved towards that theme, that goal, that area, then I think you would walk away like, hey, like I actually made progress versus like I failed, so.
Well, I guess if you look at it black and white that way, like if you say, I want to compete 3 times this year. Okay. You only compete twice. It's like, oh, I failed. Be like, no, I almost achieved my goal. That's good. To me, I'm all about like little steps turning to big steps, a molehill can turn into a mountain one day. Okay. As long as you achieve something, like how I tell people with their belts, like, hey, you start off with yellow, you start off with white belt, gets yellow, you're going to get black sooner. As long as you stick with it and you keep going, you're going to get it. You're going to achieve it.
Yep.
But some people are like, well, I want to get my green belt by the end of this year. Well, something might happen. You might get sick. You might get hurt. Your job might change. Your schedule might change. You might not learn the techniques you want to learn. So that's why I'm very much like me. I've always been a goal setted person. I've always talked about this before. I have very much goals. My goals usually are like to do this many tournaments, to stay in this shape, to do this and to do that. Now my goal this year is just to get out of this goddamn sling.
Yes.
My goal is to do judo by the end of the year.
So some other examples would be like year of reading. So you're just going to read more. Your goal is to just read more instead of saying, I'm going to read 1,000 books this year or 500 books this year,
500 books. Yeah. Wow. Children books.
Yeah. Some people do set goals like that. I mean, I did one year and I got burnt out from reading and it just kind of stopped reading again. So I think it's a good thing to try this year. So that's what I'm going to go with. I don't know if you're going to go with it, but, so my themes this year would be, I am going to do year of rest. I think I haven't been resting enough. I felt tired consistently the whole last year. Contrary to what you always make fun of me for, like, oh, you're on vacation again. Like, I think it has to do with all the traveling.
Yes.
And it's the, what do you call it? Obligationary travel. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like
sense, yeah.
I wouldn't say it's traveling for work, but traveling for family, like obligations, that tires me out more. I'd rather travel for work, honestly. So I think this year I'm going to focus on resting a lot more. And I always try to fill up my schedule to the max. And especially since I got sick so many times this year, not just the concussions, but I actually caught COVID for the first time. I got bronchitis twice. And then I got sick, like regular colds in between. So I barely got any training done. I probably got like maybe 2 months of serious training in this whole past year. So for me, I think, especially as I'm getting older, I need to learn how to not, I can't just go cold turkey one day. So I probably should start having a good medium. I'm going to try and rest more. Like it was nice to just sit down and play some games the other day that I bought from sale 2 Black Fridays ago that I never played. So and just watching YouTube videos, which is how I came across this theme thing, because I couldn't get out of bed and I was watching this guy's all his videos and I learned a lot of stuff. And one of the things was this theme thing. So it's good to expand my mindset too, and to touching different things. So, yeah, so a year of rest for me. And also, I don't know if I want to talk about this episode or maybe for our anniversary episode, but definitely I want to say like year of the podcast kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, yeah, well, that's a little separate thing that we might put it out there. I think we joked about it before, stuff making a Patreon, but we are seriously now looking into actually making some monetary value off our podcast. We've been doing this for 3 years, going on our 4th season soon. In April will be our 4th season. And we want to try to make some side hustle off this. I always joke around Anthony, like he always blows our sponsorship deals all the time, but screw the sponsorship deals. We're going to make a Patreon or an OnlyFans, one of the two, whichever one makes us more money. Sell our feet pics.
So let's talk about it a little bit, right? So I've never intended to make money out of it. Even though now we're talking about monetizing it, like I don't expect to be like, well, we have to make a profit, or you have to pay. It's more like I want people to value what we're putting out there. If that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Because usually I actually expected a lot more engagement, right? Like we did get some, like more than last year, like Instagram DMs, comments, emails, but they're not as much as I'd like to. And it's usually not about things that we discussed. It's usually like, hey, when are you guys can you guys cover this topic? What do you guys think about this? But it's not always like, hey, that episode you talked about, like this is what I think, this is my experience with it. And also we asked a lot of questions throughout the podcast. Like we don't really get any answers on those things. Like, oh, how often? What was the last one we talked about? Like exercises, like that was a really popular episode, by the way. What judo exercises we should stop? Well, not judo, just exercises.
Yeah,
that was a really popular episode. A lot of people were like, oh man, like my dojo does a lot of this stuff, but not a lot of people actually came out and said that, or actually shared stuff that they didn't want to do. They don't do, but yeah, I think the engagement part is missing. So sometimes I feel like me and you are talking into space,
the void. Well, we know it's not a full void because we see people watch our stuff. Yeah. Thank you again. Thank you to our fans out there. We do greatly appreciate you guys, ladies and gentlemen.
And it's mostly because I don't want to be like, I don't want to be like, let's just say Joe Rogan. I was going to use that as an example, right? I don't want to use Joe Rogan. I would love
to be Joe Rogan.
Or a certain 2 other podcast YouTubers I'm not going to mention, but I don't want to be like that where I tell you something and you just take my word for it. I want you to think about it, ask questions, maybe disagree, and then have like a friendly discussion. Because it's so, especially with this day and age, it's so easy to just like ignore someone and block someone versus like disagreeing and having a discussion and you both coming out learning something new,
Yeah.
Because people get so offended, right? But yeah, I didn't see any of that. And funny enough, what really made me go towards this direction and thought was when Philippe thought I was up for my knee dan, so I applied for my knee dan, and then actually I just got the email back a few weeks ago saying like, hey, you don't have the time and grade yet. And then I think one of the things Philippe said was like, it's kind of ridiculous how you're here like every single day, basically. Anyway, I don't care about the rank, but it did make me realize like, oh, I won't be recognized for an amount of time I put into this.
Yeah.
So that's my mindset towards the podcast. It's like, hey, I'm talking to the void, but like if we set up a Patreon, we haven't talked about what we're going to do yet, but we set up a Patreon, at least I'd be like, okay, these guys don't mind giving us like $5 a month just to say like, hey, like I like what you're producing. Here's like $5 for coffee or something like that.
Well, it's also we were thinking about like making tiers and stuff, but like, oh, well, if you're at this tier, then you can make suggestions for episodes and stuff. But we do take anyone's questions for the most part.
I don't think we have the viewership to do that yet.
I know because someone was suggesting like, that's a great topic. Let's make an episode about it. We had a fan one time suggest about wrestling, a whole episode about wrestling because I like talking about my background wrestling. They were all surprised and happy. Like, oh, wow, thank you guys for making a whole wrestling episode. I really appreciate it. I was like, that's cool.
Yeah. And also, if we make any money for this, I'm not keeping any of it. I'm going to I'm gonna give it all to you, and you know why.
Oh, give it to me? Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
I really appreciate it.
Because the same thing at the dojo. I don't want to. I don't want to do the taxes. I don't want to report it because it complicates things with my job. If I make any sort of money outside, I have to report it. So if I make any sort of money, it better be worth it. Like, you know, I don't care. I don't care about the couple of $100 or something like that a month, or even anything less. Even like $1,000 a month, maybe $1,000 I would care about, but yeah, I wouldn't care about that. I don't want to file the taxes or report it to my work that I'm making income outside of work and stuff like that. So, so it will more, like I said, it's like the symbolism that matters, right? Of people valuing what we're doing. But I also did realize this is where goes back to the theme, right? Our podcast kind of stagnated in growth. Or I wouldn't say stagnating because it is still growing, but it's growing at a much slower pace in the first 2 years. So the little spikes we have were from when we did the shorts. We talked about doing the shorts, but the views that we get from shorts, they never convert to long time viewers. And I sent you a video about it, right? It's basically talking about how, I'm not going to get into it, but basically talks about how YouTube is changing the algorithm. If you've been using YouTube for a long time, I'm sure a lot of you realize the recommendations and the search just starts sucking like a lot. And it kind of makes it hard for newer, smaller YouTube channels to get discovered. And they're really pushing for people to make shorts, and they're not paying them for it. So they're pushing them to make shorts so they can compete with TikTok, because they want to grab the attention of the adolescence crowd, which is going to be the most important generation age, the age gap for advertisers that they want to target. So those are the people they want to get the eyes on, and they all have like basically no attention span and just scrolling through short videos. And when you scroll through short videos, I mean, I only did it for a bit. I'm not too into it, but most people I talk to that go on TikTok, all that kind of stuff, when they go through videos, they can remember what happened, but they'll never ever be able to tell you which channel it was and whose channel it was.
Oh yeah.
They're just scrolling through videos.
They barely advertise what the channel is on there. A tiny little dot right there. If you even recognize the symbol, So I don't want to. This is going to go into the whole thing, but I'll just link the video below. But the gist of it is the whole market is shifting into this concept of missing middle, which again, CGB Creative, a YouTuber I mentioned, talked about it. It's basically the example he used is, if you think about chairs, there's manufacturers that make cheap chairs, and then like chair, like middle of the price range chairs, and like high-end expensive chairs like the one I'm wearing right, like Herman Miller chairs I have, right? But they're saying basically over time, people in the middle are going to get pushed out. Like the people making the medium quality chairs are going to get pushed out because there's not as much of a profit margin, right? If you think about it, you make thousands and thousands of cheap chairs at a small profit margin, then you make a lot of money. This is a common concept. Like you make something really cheap with small profit margin, but you sell a lot of them. That's how you make a lot of money. Or you have something that's really expensive, high quality, but a huge profit margin. So expensive chairs, right? The materials cost probably about the same, not too much more than a cheap chair. It's just more costly because of the labor and the quality you put into it. But then you charge like thousands of dollars for a chair instead of like $50 for a chair. So the profit margin is much larger, but you sell less of them. But that they're saying the missing middle, the concept is the market gets pushed towards these two ends. You see in housing too, like in LA, there's really no, you have a hole in the wall crack house, right? Okay.
Or you have like these luxury condos. You don't really have like a normal, clean new house with budget materials, and that doesn't have to be like granite or quartz marble countertops, but it's the same thing. You either build a large amount of cheap budget housing at high quantities, or you build luxury condos. Because there's a larger profit margin to be said. So the entertainment space is the same thing. We're basically competing for people's attention. And when we first started this podcast, we're like, oh, there's no judo podcasts out there. And then there was a few that that came out for a bit. But the judo market is so small, especially in America, and we're very American based. A lot of the topics that we talk about, that we're basically competing for attention from a very small market and demographic. Because I know people Philippe's age is not listening to our podcast, for example.
Well, Philippe does.
Philippe does, but I don't think, for example, I don't think Gary Galtz listens to this. Do you, Gary Galtz? Like,
he would let us know if he listens to our podcast.
Does Pat Burris listen to our podcast? I don't know, but
he might. I think.
Does Robert Erickson listen to our podcast? Like,
maybe
he knows of it, but I don't think he listens to every episode. Yeah, so if you listen to the ecological episode, then you'll see a lot of identical stuff. But anyway, we're basically at this small market already, and then our most direct competitors are basically people who are BJJ cross training judo.
Yeah,
I think that's segments dominated by Shintaro. Like, so we're basically, I think, competing with Shintaro Higashi for views. And the downside is his videos are so much shorter.
Yeah.
His content is much shorter, and there's a lot of demonstrations and stuff. So it's like kind of different. But if you had 30 minutes in your day and you had time to pick one judo podcast, you'd probably pick his over ours. Right. So that's the way I'm kind of seeing it, and why we're not seeing any growth. He's also doing a lot of shorts, and he also said it in a lot of videos where he, like, I don't want to say dumbs down, but he simplifies a lot of concepts and instructionals and techniques to a way where your common person watching it would be like, oh, I can do that kind of thing. Might not be 100% like correct per se, but like, it's like, oh, I can do that. And it's gives you that adrenaline shot when you watch it, versus our podcast is kind of like, you have to listen to us talk and then think about it, and then, like, have a discussion. Yeah. So it's more like for entertainment value in that sense, that it's like a talk show, versus these shorts now that are dominating. Think of like a late night talk show versus like scrolling through TikTok, basically. So I think maybe we need to change the format of the podcast to be less of these like long, and I don't want to say intellectual, because we're clearly not intellectual, both of us, but
speak for yourself, young man.
But these longer, serious discussions we haven't set in stone, right? Maybe we'll put the longer discussions behind Patreon or something. So if you value it, you would kind of like listen to us talk about this kind of stuff. But otherwise, we'd like have to maybe shorten the stuff a lot more and come up with a different format, or different topics, and or even I don't want to say, again, we don't want to do demonstrations, because I think there's plenty of content out there already, and people that I don't think we're qualified to do it. But maybe it would be fun to do more of those egg videos. That one did really well. Like
yeah, I brought those back. People were amazed by those videos again.
Yeah, like again, like just stuff that people haven't seen before. Because originally we thought about putting those behind Patreon, right? Like making those interesting videos behind Patreon, but then I think that wouldn't grow the podcast, versus if we swapped it, where we did the talks behind the paywall, and then did the interesting stuff in public to grow the podcast, and it might be different. So
it'd have to be a 50-50. It'd have to be, yeah. But that's the thing about making goals and resolutions for each year, like this is our judo podcast. We're trying to make growing stuff. Is that our resolution to make it bigger, and not just, it's not just a goal. It's like we have to obtain like 1 million people by this certain time. It's like, we want to work, like, again, to me, I'm a goal, or always goal oriented, to work towards making the thing bigger. I was surprised. I thought that we were still at like, how many people do we have on Facebook, on YouTube right now? We have
YouTube.
Our Instagram's
like
small,
500 or something, I think.
Yeah.
500.
Last time I looked at it, we were like at 300 something. So when we were at 500, like, oh shoot, we're at 500. Yeah, close to 1,000. So, but there's just like goal oriented things that we want to do to grow the podcast. Like for me this year, my goals, my resolutions this year is just to get back doing judo properly, My goal for the end of this year was to apply for my 4th Dan. I was hoping to get some points at Winter Nationals, maybe do USA Nationals, also get some more points there, maybe another tournament between there to get some more points. But I'm not sure if I need the points or not, if I'll have it or not. But I think I'm going to apply by the end of the year, see what happens, just to see if I can get my 4th Dan, I qualify for it. Mm-hmm. So that's like my goal. My theme is my judo theme of my year, just to get back into doing judo, get back on the mat to move properly, and hopefully within 6 months to be doing randori again. Yep. My other goal, what I was thinking about doing last year, and I think I talk about this almost every year, someone might hold this to me sometime, is to actually get my 5th Dan in Tong Sudo. I've been a 4th Dan for years. I've even been told by one of my old masters, like, Juan, are you still a 4th Dan? I'm like, yeah, I'm still a 4th Dan. Yeah, we should think about getting you a 5th one. But it's all about like learning the katas again, because that's a big thing with that sensei. It was just like, I got to relearn all the katas because I can demonstrate them in case whatever he wants to test me on, and learn the 5th Dan kata. So my goals always is martial art oriented are easier to achieve than my work goals or something, because I can say I want to get more speaking parts or audition more, and it doesn't really matter if I get parts or not, but it is what it is. Yeah. Those are just my goals, as well as our goal to grow this podcast, to get it bigger.
Yeah, we can talk about it more in an anniversary episode about the podcast thing, because I don't want to dive too deep into it. But basically, I don't want to give up the original intention of this podcast, which is to give other people who are like us, that are like semi-serious recreational people, not people who are like going to be super high level competitors, like people who have a life outside of judo, not people who are trying to make the next like Olympian, or trying to be the next Olympian or something.
Hey, I don't mind if there's some Olympians out there that want to be on a podcast with us. Go ahead. We love having guests. We've actually had some people in the line to being guests, and this stuff just keeps on happening. Sorry, guys. Yeah. We're gonna get to you guys, hopefully.
Yeah, but
hopefully will sooner or later.
Yeah, the gist of it is, right now where I see our podcast is we're medium effort and like medium length, long length kind of thing. But we have to shift towards either like, I guess, low quality and really long content, or really high quality and shorter amounts of content.
No, I think it'd be very low quality, short content, or high quality, long content. I want like a feature film link stuff. All right.
So I think
we've had some podcasts actually be some feature film links, haven't we?
Yeah. This is why a lot of podcasts, there's a BJJ podcast, and we'll name it out here. A lot of them do interviews for that exact reason, because it's low effort and high quality, because you just interview someone, they just talk basically, and there's your content, like, which is kind of what we're doing right now. But you just interview someone and you just talk and ask questions. You don't have to plan anything really. But if we were to do what we said, like shorter videos, like let's say 20-30 minutes, and then make it like high quality, then we'd have to do a lot more planning beforehand. Like, okay, we're going to talk about these topics, and then that's one. And then two, the editing process is going to be a lot more complicated, because I'm going to have to cut out a lot of the unnecessary stuff, and then make sure it doesn't sound disjointed. And yeah, so it's going to increase the amount of effort significantly, but that's going to increase the numbers, I think, which is like, I'm thinking, is it worth it? Like, again, year of the rest, but like, yeah, I don't know if it's worth it, but we'll see. We'll talk about it. But the Patreon thing will definitely happen. And we talked about potentially it'll probably start off as just like a tip jar kind of thing. And then maybe turn.
Well, if we do a Patreon, if you tip us $100, you can get an episode interview of yourself if you like. If you donate to the candy cane belt level, if you.
Yeah, but we might also, the common thing that a lot of podcasts do is either they gate certain episodes. Like, let's say we interview Jimmy Pedro or something, right? Then you gate the Jimmy Pedro episode, even though I wouldn't do that, because he interviews everyone out there. But you gate some of the more interesting episodes behind a paywall, or you like, hey, if you pay us, you'll get to hear the episodes like a week early or something like that. That's what a lot of places do. So those are the more likely things that might happen. But,
and Anthony's feet pictures too.
Yeah. And speaking of themes, back to the original thing with the set themes, like, I think
unintentionally did a theme last year, which is the theme of Uchimata, right? I talked about how
Uchimata theme every year.
But in the past, I'd be like, okay, my goal this year is to throw someone in a tournament with Uchimata, right? Mm-hmm. Hasn't happened. But last year I just said, I just want to get better at Uchimata. So that was a pretty theme oriented thing. So I did get better at it. I did have more success with it in Randori, but especially when it comes to back to the ecological thing, like I'm doing better in Randori, but I didn't get any better at demonstrating it. Does that make sense? Like the demonstration version of it.
Yeah.
Which now this year I'm like, okay, so I did get better at Uchimata in Randori, but do I want to waste time, like spend time getting better at demonstrating it static? Like it feels like it's two different skill sets now.
It is.
So, yeah, I don't know. This is a crossroads I'm at. So I'm going to continue the year of the Uchimata too into this year. So that's what I'm going to do this year. So year of the rest, year of the podcasts, and definitely year of the Uchimata. But year of the rest also encompasses reprioritizing. I already mentioned it in the Christmas episode. I'm going to reprioritize my judo so that I also spend more time. Like I want to pick up Japanese and guitar more, read some non-judo books. Like I think literally every single book I read this year has been somehow judo related. Like whether it's like the ecological stuff or the language of coaching, like talk about how to use cues and coaching, or reading about periodization, strength and conditioning. They're all like stuff that is meant to be used in judo. But I'd like to read some more programming books. Like I have a lot of programming books I haven't read. I haven't really improved my job skill set in a while. Some people managing books and cooking books. Like there's a lot of stuff that I haven't touched because of how last year has just been so judo focused, which is funny because I haven't been training much because I was sick, but most of my energy and attention was spent on judo. So this year definitely reprioritize a bit on family and also my own health and my own hobbies a little bit. So, yep.
All right. That sounds great. You're the dragon, you're the Anthony, you're the rest.
Oh yeah, it is Year of the Dragon, right? I'm a dragon. So this is a Year of the Dragon. Yeah. I also want to, we'll talk about it next time. I don't think we should talk about this on the podcast. What I was going to say.
Okay. All right. And with that, Anthony, is there anything else you'd like to discuss before we shut down?
No. We talked about, we talked about it before already, but even though we're not going to do the changes yet until we talk more about it, I think the next few episodes we're going to try and keep them around the hour mark or shorter. So
we can try. I don't know if it's going to work, but we can try.
Yep. If you have any suggestions,
I'm going to have to shut you down, give you a timer next time. Anthony, it's been 5 minutes. Shut up.
If you have any suggestions, on what you think, like we're going to talk more about what our plans for the podcast is, maybe for the New Year's, the anniversary episode, but feedback, suggestions, let us know.
All right. So with that, remember, you can always like, share, and subscribe to us. You can follow us on Instagram at Tatami Talk. You can follow us on YouTube at Tatami Talk. You can follow us on Threads at Tatami Talk. If you have any suggestions, things you want us to talk about, things you want to just let us know about, suggestions for the show, talk to Anthony a little bit more. You can hit us up at tatamitalk@gmail.com. You want to hit us up directly, you can hit up Anthony at Anthony Thrills Instagram. You hit me up at the Jerry_Juan Instagram. Am I forgetting anything? Is that all of them?
Nope.
All right. Please check out the YouTube. We are going to put some more shorts out there. It should be more interesting, more fun.
Ukemi. The funny thing is I have the Ukemi video planned out. I haven't decided I think I'm not going to put it behind Patreon. So what happened was, I had it planned out and I was ready to re-record it, but then you had shoulder surgery. So I had to find a different uke, and then I hurt my rib. So it's probably not going to happen for another few months. So
we were also going to make some more illegal throws in judo video and some discussion about certain throws. And again, shoulder dislocated, guys, shoulder surgery. Hopefully in 6 months, you guys see some more videos from us. But till then, we'll just be talking.
Yeah. So we're just going to be talking, and I lost my train of thought, but I realized the Ukemi video that I already recorded the parts of it. It was more like teaching people how to teach Ukemi and not so much teaching someone how to do Ukemi. Like there was too much detail that a beginner shouldn't need, basically. So I'm going to re-record that part to basically focus more on teaching beginners. And then the part where it's like teaching people how to teach ukemi efficiently, which I've been testing a lot and it's been working really well, that I'll probably put it behind Patreon. That's what I decided on. So I'll probably put that behind Patreon, and then the regular ukemi video, as promised, is going to be free. So,
okay. All right. So with that, Anthony, don't forget to
get shoulder surgery.
You don't forget to get shoulder surgery. All right. I can always show up like, oh,
and slap
I forgot it was today. All right.
And slap the net. Yep.